We take our power and we give it away. Well, I want you to take your power and keep it. I want you to think about every dream you've ever had, every desire you've ever wanted to go after, every goal, every achievement. And I want you to start thinking about how you can own it. Hello, and welcome to the Hello You Show, where big dreams meet real action. Through transformative stories, a bit of neuroscience, and real conversations, this show is here to help you explore creating your next level life with authenticity and passion. I'm Jessica Rice, a design techie and former engineering leader turned vision evolution coach on a mission to help other women rise up and lead a life of purpose. So get cozy and say hello again to the real you. Hello, welcome back to the Hello You Show. My name is Jessica Rice, and I'm your host. And today's episode is dedicated to all the women out there who haven't fully owned their power yet. Now, maybe you feel that you have stepped into your power or you are owning your voice in a greater way. But I bet there's probably still little things that you're doing to sabotage your success and fully stepping into the glorious, powerful woman that you were intended to be. I was going through some photos on Google the other day, and I was looking back at some memories with friends, memories with family, moments, events that, sometimes I wish I could go back to. Those moments with my son when he was about 2, 3 years old. He was super cute then, and he still is, but he's older now. And sometimes we want to go back and we want to revisit those times. But then I also look at those photos, and her voice comes in. Do you know the voice I'm talking about? Do you have her voice? Now, sometimes maybe you put a name to it, I don't know. But it's that voice, the one that says, "Oh, look at you. You were so much thinner back then. Oh, look at you. You didn't look so old. Oh, look at you. You didn't even have any wrinkles. Look at your hair. There's no gray hairs in there. Oh, look at your smile. Look at your eyes. Look at your neck." Do you have that voice? The one that compares you, the one that sits there and puts you down all the time and talks trash about who you are now? I've had that voice for as long as I can remember. And that's the same voice that also told me then that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't pretty enough, I wouldn't be as successful. I didn't have what it took to get to that next stage in my life. So why do we listen to this voice? Why do we listen to this voice that's telling us all the time that we're not good enough? Why do we take our power away? And I want to tell you, ladies, you are good enough now, as you are, whether you are 35 or 85 or 105. Where you are today is where you're supposed to be. And how much we learn along the way, that's what determines our resiliency, our success, our wisdom. And the problem is that we don't own it, and we forget. We forget about all the things that we've gone through. Well, let me tell you about that little voice. See, I had this voice when I was 28 years old. I remember standing in the shower, water pouring down on me, tears just flooding down my face, sobbing and sobbing. I had just tried washing my hair, and I was watching as clumps of hair were falling out of my hands, down into the shower, and just floating on down the drain. Now, I had just come back home after living through a hell, essentially. I had been diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, and we found out a little too late. I had just spent a year and a half going after doctor visit after doctor visit, test after test, sample after sample. And doctors couldn't tell me what was wrong, why I was bleeding, why I was losing so much weight, why I was sick all the time. And I'd gone through emergency surgery. I'd had my bowel, a gastric perforation in my bowel, which means that you have a hole in your intestine. And that was from suffering from ulcerative colitis, which I didn't know. And it had gotten so bad, it had reached that level, stage 4, where my colon burst and everything that was inside started leaking into my body. Now, if you want to talk about pain, that was definite pain. And I remember screaming, and my dad luckily happened to be there. I was actually in the hospital when it happened. I was very fortunate. I was very lucky. And my dad happened to be there, and I remember him holding me and squeezing me so tight, I almost couldn't breathe because I was just screaming from pain. I had just gone through all of that, and I awoke. I awoke having a stoma, which, if you're not familiar with what that is when they gave me what was called an ileostomy, which they were able to pull part of my intestine through so that I could still eat and I could have excrement. But it was something that, it's on your stomach. It's a colectomy. And I had just moved in with my boyfriend at the time, my now husband. And waking up and having this and wearing a poop bag, was the furthest thing that I could think of from being sexy or pretty or good looking. And yet, standing there in this shower, watching my hair fall out, was like everything coming crashing down all at once. It was like the final straw. I weighed 116 pounds. I hadn't weighed that little since maybe when I was 10 years old, 11 years old. I could barely stand. I could barely walk. I was just skin and bones. I had gone through malnourishment. I couldn't eat because of the surgeries. You can't eat. And the stress on my body had just taken such a toll. And I remember just crying and crying and crying, all of the thoughts in my head that you're not good enough, that you should just have died. You'd be better off if you were dead. And I remember my boyfriend at the time standing outside, my husband, trying to see what he could do. He felt so helpless. That voice was insidious. And yet, I healed. I spent the next 6 months working out, eating super clean, super healthy, making sure I had enough water, that I was getting strong so I could have my second surgery. I had a goal, and I wanted to achieve it. And this had disrupted my entire life. This was my senior year of college. I was intended to be graduating. I had to put college on hold so that I could heal, so that I could recover, so I could have my second surgery, so that I didn't have to wear a colostomy bag, so I didn't have to feel ashamed. But I felt horrible. I felt so ugly. And I wasn't sitting there thinking, oh, you're so lucky to be alive. I was sitting there thinking, you are the most disgusting person on the planet. And the craziest thing was that when I'd go out into public, is that other people would comment and tell me, oh my gosh, you look like a model. You're so thin. How do you do that? And I remember, for so many times in my life of wanting to be pretty, of wanting to be thin enough, of wanting to be accepted, here I was, finally skinny, but it almost took my life to reach this. And it was also disgusting. I was wearing a size 2 when I should have been wearing a size 6. And people were telling me, oh, you're so amazing. And in my head, it was, number one, little do you know. Little do you know what I've gone through. And little do you know that underneath this shirt, I'm wearing a poop bag. That's all I could see. How many times in your life do you allow joy to be stolen from you, gratitude to be taken away, because your own mind won't let you have it? I had struggled with eating disorders for a good portion of my life. And I reached this point where everything had nearly been taken away from me, and I still couldn't see the joy. I couldn't see the value in my own life. Once I finally had my second surgery, I was successful. I was able to finish college. I was able to graduate and walk across that stage, get my first job, and start making it in my career. And that was like a whole new chapter of my life, a whole new leaf turned over, and everything started to change. But sometimes that little voice, that same voice, would come back and it would start telling me over and over again, you're not good enough. You're not going to make it. You're not going to fool them this time. Who do you think you are? Why do we listen? Because we've been conditioned to listen from a young age. Now, I can recall back thinking about myself as a child, young enough to not have been squashed, and feeling as though I could conquer the world. I was thinking about that. I was preparing for even this talk. My favorite cartoon, for those of you who don't know, now I'm aging myself, was She-Ra. There was He-Man, and then there was his sister, She-Ra. Now, She-Ra had her own cartoon. And in the 80s, there weren't very many cartoons with women who were powerhouses, who were superheroes. There was Wonder Woman. That's the only one I really knew of. And then there was She-Ra. Of course, I liked, the other ones, Care Bears, My Little Pony. I was pretty young. But still, that was the one that stood out, and it still stands out to me today. Because we take our power and we give it away. Well, I want you to take your power and keep it. I want you to think about every dream you've ever had, every desire you've ever wanted to go after, every goal, every achievement. And I want you to start thinking about how you can own it. And what does that mean for you? If you were to own your power, how would you show up? How would you position yourself? How would you speak? Would you make yourself small, or would you make yourself stand tall? We have been put into a situation, especially as women, where it's normal to victimize ourselves. It's normal to think that we should be more pleasant, that we should just put up with the bullshit that we get all the time, that we should be more soft-spoken, likable, congenial. None of those things get us to where we want to go. And you are brilliant and you are strong and you have gone through so much more in this life than anybody can possibly understand or imagine. And because you smile all the way through it, no one ever does. I want you to think about how you can take your power and turn it into your success. What does that look like for you? See, there was at some point, I just snapped. Maybe it was a point in my career when I realized that I was just tired. I was tired of dealing with drama. I was tired of catty coworkers. I was tired of my boss who would talk down to me or tell me inappropriate jokes. I was tired. I wanted to be a mom to my son. I wanted to be present in my family. I was tired of wearing armor all the time so that I could pretend to be powerful enough, but not so powerful to offend. And I realized that was my calling. Not only did I want to empower my team and the women on my team, but also some of the men. I had some quiet, soft-spoken men. I wanted to empower myself. I wanted to empower my son. I wanted to empower the people in my life, not to go out and be jerks, but to go out and honestly care, to care about themselves in such a way where they were able to care about other people. It is so hard, if you've ever noticed, people who are rude, who talk down to you, who pretend to have influence and authority. Most of the time, they're not showing that they care, and it's because inside, they are listening to that same voice. Now, true powerhouses, true people who understand what it is that they bring, they've failed enough times to understand and be humble about it and to get up and keep rising up. That success didn't come because they snapped their fingers. It came out of due diligence, trial after trial after trial, persistence and resilience. And I'm going to imagine that that's you. I don't care how many times you've fallen. How many times have you gotten back up? How many times have you fought for your life, whether figuratively or literally? This is your shot. This is your life. Make the most of it and empower yourself to do so. It's just like Maya Angelou's famous poem, Phenomenal Woman. And that's what you are. But you have to remind yourself, and you have to do it over and over and over again. Because everyone else out there is going to tell you you're not enough. You're going to get messages over and over and over again. Look at the advertising agencies and the marketing industry that tells you that you're not good enough unless you buy this thing. And then you will be good enough. Entire campaigns are built around making you feel horrible about yourself, rather than empowering you to rise up and own yourself. Well, that's what this is here for. This is here to tell you that you don't need all of that other bullshit. You don't need all of that other crap. You can just own who you are and the shit that you've gone through in your life, and you can hold your head up high and you can walk forward, my friend. And you can be dynamic, and you can be that woman that God has called you to be, because He sees the power in you, and through Him, He gives you strength. You are not less than. Don't make yourself less than. You don't have to give in to any of the other things that the world is out there telling you. And as a coach, I get so frustrated when I'm online looking at other coaches that are, their mechanism for selling is telling you that you're not enough. Their mechanism of telling you how to make another sale, or if you're not, going out and you haven't done this or accomplished this yet, then you're doing it all wrong. You're not doing anything wrong if you are getting up and you are making steps forward. Let me remind you of that. And if you are ever in doubt of that, you remind yourself, did you wake up today? Did you go get dressed? Did you go get ready? Did you put your one step forward? Because that's all it takes. One step. One step every day adds up. So what if you fall? So what if you fail? Don't stay down. That voice robs so many people of their entire lives. Don't let yourself be another victim. When we understand our purpose, when we understand what we're here to do, when we understand all of the things that have happened to us in our lives and the culmination of that and what has brought us to today, at this age, wherever you are, you will find your meaning, and you will find fulfillment, and you will find your voice. Let this be a reminder to you. Now, we have the Powerhouse Legacy Collective as a community for high-level leaders, high-achieving individuals who are ready and wanting to step into that next level. Because if you're not thinking about the next level, then you're just acquiescing to the level that you're at right now. But first, you have to feel and deem yourself worthy. No one else can do that for you. No one else is going to tell you. You have to tell yourself. It won't be your friends. It won't be your spouse. It won't be your family. They might tell you in certain ways, and that might make you feel good for a time. But they're not going to go through what you're going to go through. And sometimes you have to walk through the fire to come out the other side. But you can, and you will. And so that's what we created the community for, is so that you don't feel like you're walking through it alone, because the people in there are doing the same thing. They're owning their voice. They're refining it. They're learning about leadership strategies and negotiation and communication techniques and ways to tell stories in a compelling way. And they're owning who they are, where they are right now. It's one thing to plan for the future. It's one thing to say, this is what I want in the future. But if all you're ever doing is planning and dreaming, you're not doing. The only thing that you need to start doing is making steps. Whatever those look like for you, start making steps. Start taking action. Start making a plan for yourself. Start thinking about, if I were here in 5 years, what would be the steps I took to get me here? Break it down and go backwards so that you can start from here and you can make steps forward. We get lost because we get overwhelmed and we're thinking ambiguously about what it is that our goals are and what we're trying to do. We all have dreams, but the more that you dream, the bigger your dreams become. And the more they start to morph and to change, and things that you wouldn't imagine start to unfold before you. And not everyone's going to understand or be there for you or really get you or be your tribe. And that's okay. You have to get comfortable with where you're at and not being that person for everybody else, because you won't be. And they won't be right for you either. When you know yourself, when you own who you are, that's okay. It becomes okay. So whatever it is that you're doing right now, wherever you feel like you are right now, and if you have a dream or a wish or a hope or a goal that you're wanting to achieve, I want you to ask yourself, where are you on the path to achievement? Where are you on the path to getting it done? Where are you on the path to making it happen for yourself? If we don't take action, nothing happens and nothing changes. But you have to be the one who's leading the way in your own life. Now, some of the messages that I had to get for myself this past year was that even though I have other people that I look to as a support system, I still have to lean on myself to provide the guidance and the direction. If you're looking to people who are there to support you, to provide you all of the answers, it's going to be very difficult because you alone are going to be the one who has to provide that final decision, that ultimate path, that way forward. And if they're the right people, they're going to be in your court and they're going to help you find the decision that's right for you, the right path for you. Rather than telling you how to do it, they're going to be there as the guide and the support to carry you along. And that's what I base my coaching around. That's what I work with my clients around. Not so I can tell them how I would always do everything, but I can be there as a support and a guide for the dreams that they only have. But you have to do that work for yourself. You have to know within yourself what lives there, resides there, how you're ultimately making those connections. And if you are building on your neuroplasticity and you're building on your neural pathways so that you can behave and respond and think differently. And it has to come from within. And it cannot come from validation or approval from someone else. It has to start here. You know, there's that saying, what fires together, wires together. That's what they say in terms of our mind, how our neural pathways are formed. And the more that you listen to that voice and the more that you believe what it's telling you, the more that you are concretely saying to yourself that it's true. But if each and every day you were to wake up and you were to decide to do something a little bit differently, take a different path to work, take a different path on your walk, decide to change up the order with how you get ready, you would automatically start changing your associations to the habits that you have formed for yourself on a daily basis. And if you take that same principle and you now start to apply that toward things that you want to do and accomplish within your life, little moments, little actions, little steps that you take, little ways that you tell that voice, no, you're not right, the more that voice will start to weaken, the more that voice will start to dim, and the greater the clarity that you will have in reaching your destination. Consider for yourself, what are you saying each and every time you make a decision? What are you telling yourself? Because the decisions that you make, the actions that you take, are the message that you deliver. Are you playing small? Are you playing safe? Or are you saying hello to who you are, what you represent, why you're here, the power that you bring, your voice? Own it, claim it, and go after it. It's your life. Make the most of it. And if you're curious and you're looking for some ways to greater support you, reach out. Come find us at the Powerhouse Legacy Collective. You can be a part of the community there. You can have a support system and a network, and you can start refining some of the skills that you might want along the way. But the very least, just take a step every single day. And when you do, you are switching off that voice and you are turning on empowerment. And you are rewiring, my friend, a new way of being, a new life that will start to unfold for you. And you have no idea the power that you will have in your own life when you start to do that. The way that you respond when someone criticizes you, how you feel when someone puts you down, what you would choose to internalize versus let go. Because you are owning your path. You are not a victim to it. Reach out. I'd love to hear, what are some insights that you have? What are some things that you're going to do to make some changes, some actions toward your next level goals? What questions do you have? That's what we're here for. Go forth, be you, be empowered, be bold, be a phenomenal woman. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you like this episode, go ahead, like and subscribe, tell your friends about it, leave a comment. We're here to try to make an impact on other women's lives so that they know they're not alone, and that whatever it is that you're reaching for, you can achieve. Thank you for tuning into the Hello You Show. It's been a pleasure to have you with us on this journey today. If you found value in our conversation and want to support the show, please take a moment to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd also deeply appreciate it if you could leave us a review. Your feedback not only helps us grow, but also enables others seeking inspiration and authenticity to discover our community. Until next time, keep embracing your story with purpose.